Hey everyone, and welcome to the NintendoFuse Podcast. This is episode 298, recorded on Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. Getting closer and closer to episode 300 and on our 15th anniversary coming up pretty soon. My name is Steve, and of course I'm joined by Barry and Greg. Barry, how's it going?
Good. It's good to be here and good to talk gaming. And what a day it's been. So we have a lot to discuss.
Do. And Greg is back. Greg, how's it going, man?
Pretty good. Today was a pretty stressful day on the personal side of things. So outside of everything that Barry's got going on, I'm still in the knee deep into getting ready to close on the new house. So like the closing is this Friday, and there was like some nice little blips that came up over the last like 12, 24 hours. So have a lot of fun to deal with going on today.
Fun. It can never go smoothly. Never.
Yeah, I know. It's like not like places ever done closings before. It's like every time's the first time, and then they forget. Like, oh, you actually need to do it this way, and we need you to do it. We need this. This has to be there too. Like,
right, right.
You get like a month long to get everything all ready, and then of course then they don't know these things until like 5 days before it needs to be done.
Yep. Well, on this episode, we're going to be talking all about some Eastasiasoft updates, Mario Party Jamboree updates, a new game coming to Switch that kind of caught me off guard, Carmen Sandiego. Also, rumors of Switch 2, Switch Successor. We'll discuss all that and some recent updates from Apple and Sony and maybe what that has to do with Nintendo. But before we jump into any of that, we just want to remind you, if you have never subscribed to us, be sure to do that on your favorite podcast app. And if you haven't, join us over on social media. We would love to have you there as well. You can follow us at NintendoFuse on all the popular social medias that are out there. And of course, we have our Discord as well, and we would love to have you join that. All those links are going to be found in the show notes and the podcast show notes and the YouTube description as well. But let's jump into what we have been playing, and let's go to you first, Greg.
All right, so my list will be a bit longer because I wasn't there last time around, so I have the last 4 weeks at least for me, but there wasn't really that many added in anyway. So I did play through Cat Quest 1 and 2 after having beaten 3. So I actually really enjoyed playing through the first 2 original ones. I would still say 3 is still the best one because it feels like it added a lot more accessibility options, and it's really cool that with the sailing mechanic and also like the combat in the boat. But you can definitely see like where the origins come from and kind of how the story got situated up to the third point. So I still definitely recommend it from like a story standpoint, but it's a lot more quest heavy, and you're just going through different tasks for villagers, like, oh, go to this cave and just defeat the monsters, and so you retrieve this magical vial thing or whatever it is, or special item, and then like you automatically get it. It's not actually in like a chest. It just appears when on top of you after you defeat all the monsters or whatever in the cave. So it's definitely a really cool starting point to have gone through both of them. And then I think I even posted our Discord, like there was a shout out to Zelda 1 where it's like, oh, it's dangerous to go alone, should have taken it, like referencing like you should have taken the sword. So I thought that was really cool to see honored there in the Cat Quest 2 that was in. Moving on, we did some game chats for Iron Meat and Darkstar 1 and Phantom Spark. So those, you can already hear my opinions on all 3 of those. And then I recently started playing, I guess it's Bzzzt, and it's because it's like BZZT, and that's going to be an upcoming game chat where I'll have some more opinions on those as well. On the mobile side, still playing the Roblox games with my daughter Belle, and just having fun playing through the same fare of games there, which is like the Adopt Me, the Find the Sour Patch Kids, and one that she hadn't played in a long time is like this small tycoon game where you get to just build like random stores in this like giant tower based building, and there's like 6 stores per floor, and then there's like a different variety of stores you can do, like a pizza store and like ice cream store and all sorts of crazy topic stores that you might not even see. There's even like a dad store that's really cool. You can buy lawnmowers and stuff there. So that was, I definitely thought of Barry and his lawnmower simulation. So figure out where that gets started.
Nice.
and then finally still doing the Simpsons Tapped Out on the standard Apple devices. So that's pretty much what I've been up to.
Nice. And you got a Mac, and so you're like trying that out for the first time on the stream tonight too. So it's exciting.
Yep.
Welcome.
Higher hopes to try to do some video editing and stuff once I get there and record gameplay footage, but that's not going to happen until the new house for sure. So
yeah. Well, welcome deeper into the world of Apple. Yeah. You get sucked in pretty easily. We'll talk a little more about Apple a little later in the podcast. But let's go to the chat real quick. A reminder: if you are joining us live, we go live every other Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. And if you do join us in the live chat, we love interacting with you guys as much as possible. So be sure to throw whatever you're playing in the live chat, interact with all the different stories. And Jakester's already told us what he's been playing. Looks like he said started the original Lego Star Wars 1 on the PS2 that he bought from a coworker and went back to Super Paper Mario. And of course, also still doing Pikmin Bloom and Pokemon Sleep. So, yeah, be sure to let us know what you have been playing, either live in the chat room or in the comments afterwards here on YouTube or over in our Discord as well. So, Barry, what have you been playing over the last couple weeks?
Yeah, so still doing Pokemon Unite and Star Wars Hunters, my daily go-tos on the Switch. Like Greg said, played through Iron Meat, and there's a game chat up right now for you to hear my thoughts. But if you like Contra, you'll like this game. Went back and did some Phantom Spark 2 before we did record our Phantom Spark game chat, which I don't think is live yet, but look forward to that. That's a fun one. And also been playing Bzzzt and went through the main campaign already in that, and we'll have a game chat soon, so you'll hear my thoughts. But if you like precision platforming and just platforming in general, it's a game to definitely look out for. The big game that I played through and finished on the Switch was Emio, the Smiling Man Famicom Detective Club. Boy, what a game! That was better than the first two, which understandable because the first two were NES games and now there's more time. The graphics are better. There's more movement. I didn't need a guide at all. It was I did. You do still need to click things multiple times, but knowing that, I was able to do it no problem. Uh, and this is dark. I want to say this may have some of the darkest scenes ever in a Nintendo game, like darker than Eternal Darkness. Like there was a part where I actually had to look away from the screen.
Wow.
And that's because there's kind of like two games in this game, and it's not so much of a spoiler, but you go through the whole main story, and then when you beat it, you actually get a second game. And the second game, because the first game, like when you beat it, you're like, there's still questions I didn't never got answered. The second game actually tells you like, oh yeah, here's all the stuff that you didn't know, because your boss is pretty much investigating alongside of you. And they have an actual anime. I think it's probably about a 20-minute or so anime from Emio's perspective, showing everything, and it's just a full-on animation with subtitles, no pushing X or anything or A. And there were scenes in that anime that I had to look away. I was like, "Oh my god, like this is not Nintendo friendly. There's a reason this is an M." Excellent though. Absolutely excellent. I'm glad the series is back. I hope it continues. If you haven't tried it yet, try the demo. You get the first 4 chapters counting the prologue for free, and that carries over. And it really, that's not even like where it even gets really good. It keeps getting better as it goes on. But what a game! I'm glad I did it. But then moving on to the PlayStation 5, where I spent the majority of my week on a game called Visions of Mana. The demo of Visions of Mana, when I did do it for the bonus items, is absolutely terrible. Do not play that demo. That is probably one of the worst demos. And I've heard this from other people. Like the demo is terrible. The game is fantastic. And I played through and completed it, did the post game, had a blast. If you enjoy Zelda, you need to play this game. If you enjoyed any of the Mana games in the past, you need to play this game. and I think as a group, as like a collective group, we really need to show love, because the studio that made this game was pretty much shut down like a day or two after the game came out. And it's like, that's terrible. Like, Square published it, but they didn't make it, and that's terrible for a studio to work on a game and just gone afterwards. Don't even get to enjoy the success. But if you enjoy any action adventure RPG, especially if you enjoy like colorful, vibrant worlds, the graphics are beautiful. Like, oh my god! So absolutely, hands down, recommend. What a wonderful experience. I did go back to Astro's Playroom. They did do some updates on that game, the pack-in, to add some like hidden bots you could find. So I did that, and then of course I'm still working through now Astrobot, which just came out, which might as well just be called Super Mario Galaxy 3, featuring Astrobot instead of Mario. It is fantastic. Like the reviews are right. It is not as terribly difficult. It's more of just a fun romp. It's really really well done. Uh, levels, creatively crafted, fun power ups, like things where you can like stop time in some levels, and like you're like in a slot machine world, and like enemies are throwing coins, and like coins are falling, and you have to stop time while they're mid flight or mid fall to like jump up them and stuff like that. It's really really good. It's a 30th anniversary love letter to all the Sony platforms. But if you just enjoy platforming games, it's absolutely hands down you need to play it. That being said, it's also for some reason it's still a tech demo in a sense. Like, there's a lot of little items that will just appear just for like, look what the PlayStation 5 can do. Look at all these little items that are shining. Like, there's one area where you find all these like gems, and it must be like 200 gems just fall, and they're all different lighting and all that stuff. Like, that's not really necessary. It's just yay. And sometimes to the detriment. There's like one level where you have to use water to cool down lava to go across, and it's all in like little hexagons. So normally in a game, the water would just hit in front of you and the whole platform would turn. But here, every little hexagon turns. So, but the water is random where it falls out. So if it doesn't fall on the hexagon you need as you land on it, you die. So it's like, oh man, thanks for the technical power, but it's actually a hindrance in this case. But it is a great game. Look forward to finishing it this week. But yeah, definitely check it out. PC still doing Final Fantasy 14 stuff, and mobile Mario Kart Tour and the New York Time games are still captivated me.
Nice. Again, be sure to let us know what you have been playing, either here in the live chat or in our comments or over on Discord as well. I have been playing several different games. Actually, this is one of the longer lists that I have for quite a while. In fact, I'm looking at it now and I'm like, oh, this is longer than Barry's, which is unusual. But yeah, I'm glad actually to hear about the Visions of Mana demo, because I was going to try that. I was trying to get us codes to be able to review the game, but they ran out. They did not have enough for us. But I was trying for sure. But yeah, played Iron Meat. As Barry said, that's and Greg said that game chat is already live on our NintendoFuse YouTube channel, so you guys can head over there and hear all about what we thought about it. We all enjoyed it. It's a fun Contra style game. Played some Dark Star 1, which we also have. We made that one live, right? That one's already live. I've edited so many of our game chats recently that I forgot which is live and what's not. So Dark Star 1's over there. I wasn't a huge fan of it. Even got stuck. And then Greg got a little further than I did and also got stuck. But yeah, not a huge fan of it, but it's there. And then got access to a couple Pinball FX tables. So they gave me codes. Unfortunately, we couldn't get enough for all three of us, but did get codes for the Princess Bride and the Goat Simulator tables on pinball tables for Pinball FX. And so I'll be posting some gameplay videos on our YouTube channel pretty soon. They were pretty fun. I enjoyed the Princess Bride one more than the Goat Simulator. The Goat Simulator one, I felt like it was kind of all over the place, which kind of makes sense for Goat Simulator. But it was I was hitting the same thing over and over and over again, and it just didn't seem that fun. But Princess Bride was a blast. I can't remember if I actually played the original, like the actual pinball table for Princess Bride, or not. So I can't tell you how close it emulates an actual table, but it was pretty fun. And played some Bouncy Chicken. I got a code from Eastasiasoft for that, and it is a silly game, but it's also really fun and kind of a little bit of a cozy, challenging puzzle-ish sort of thing where you pull or you position your chicken to fly across the the screen, and you have to do it in the first several levels. You don't have to do it in so many moves, but after so many levels they start giving you like 3 moves, and so you have to do it strategically. But then sometimes it just randomly bounces around, and there's other obstacles on the screen that like you may not think you're going to get it, and then you get bounced into it and collect everything you need and you move on. So it's just a silly game. And then placed Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown, got a code for that one as well, and I am very pleased with how good this game looks on Switch. I wasn't sure if it was going to look that good, because I played a little bit on Xbox and it looks fantastic. And I'm really enjoying Ace Combat 7 on Switch. Played several hours of it the other day, and putting a gameplay video on our YouTube channel as well. Then I ended up playing Bow Path of the Teal Lotus, which is an Asian inspired Chinese, I think, if I'm getting that correctly, inspired platformer. It's kind of like there's several others, but oh shoot, what's that platformer that I really like that now I'm blanking on? That's kind of it's from Microsoft. They
Ori?
came over to Switch. Ori, yeah. It's like, the game that I really like that I totally forgot the name of. Yeah, that one. Yeah, but it's kind of in that kind of vein a little bit, but also it's got some Metroidvania kind of style to it, and yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think we will be actually. Surprise, guys, I got codes for you guys on it, so we're going to be doing a game chat on that one pretty soon. They didn't know until I just told them, so that's fun. And then
Surprise.
then as you guys know, I got my I got that the handheld PC that I'm playing more and more Steam games. So this last week I went back to a game that everybody else in the entire gaming world has played this game except for me. And so I played some Portal for the very first time. And
Wow.
I made it about halfway through, and then I was about to puke. So I stopped. It was like, well, I wouldn't say about to puke. It was giving me a headache. It's not super smooth, but it was fun. I was enjoying what it was. But I know.
Just remember the cake is a lie.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it's so unfortunate because I've heard so much about the game that I feel like all these different things are like, they're not as fun to experience them the first time because I've heard so much about it already.
Honestly, you need to play. Portal's not a long game, but
Right.
you need to beat it to hear the ending song.
Okay.
Like that ending song is probably one of the best ending songs in a video game.
All right. Cool.
Like my
Well,
wife and I will still randomly sing it. Like it's
Nice.
just that good.
Well, I do like Jakes. You're saying should have kept going. No, I was. My head was not feeling good at all. But I'll eventually go back and finish it because I'm just over halfway through, and like you said, it's not a long game at all. And then, yeah, also playing some Rocket League. Pretty much switched over to only playing that on PC now. And so I barely even boot up my Xbox anymore. And then on mobile, played Clash Royale and Pokemon Go. And then I also wanted to, before we move on to our stories and headlines and everything that we're going to discuss, if you're on the video version, you can actually see this. But I got sent 2 of these microphones. And so I think years ago on the podcast, I talked about this product called Mod Mic. And they now have 2 different mod mics that are out there. Mod Mic 2 comes out with a Mod Mic 2 USB and a Mod Mic 2 Uni 2. And the main difference is one is USB connection and one is a regular analog connection. And basically the whole premise of this, it comes in a nice little case and everything, and you pull it out, and like I said, at the end of one of them is a USB. It's USB-A, but it has a USB-C adapter that comes with it. And essentially, the main purpose of this is that if your headset doesn't have a microphone, you can add one to it that is a really, really nice headset microphone. And this one, it moves and everything as well, so you can move it around, pull it closer to your face, move it farther away. The big thing with the old one was that they picked up, like, they were hot mics. I forget what the difference is between dynamic and the other version, but whatever it was the other one where it picked up like everything in the room. These are more centered on what you're actually speaking into the microphone. And I really thought the quality was really fantastic. So they can, if your headset is metal, it'll just magnetically just attach right to it, but it also has a little sticky things too. So if you're looking to add like a headset to your, or a microphone to your headset, I highly recommend these. Like, if you really have a quality headset that you already enjoy, but it just doesn't have a mic attachment, and you want to play games online or you're streaming or whatever, and you want to have a microphone that's right there attached to your headset, check out the Mod Mic 2. Like, I do recommend it. The quality is significantly better over the Mod Mic 1. I was very pleased. And honestly, if I didn't have this Shure microphone that I use right now, I would probably maybe be switching over that. But I'd rather use this kind of microphone for my podcast and everything. But it's a really good quality mic that you can add to it. So thanks to Mod Mic for sending me out these review copies or review units to check out. Let's move into our headlines, and we just got a couple quick ones. Nothing too big, but a couple quick stories that we want to let you guys know about. And Barry's going to kick it off.
Yeah, so we've talked about them a bunch even on this podcast. Eastasiasoft, wonderful publishers. They put on a lot of games, and they just recently gave an update on their schedules for September and October. So if you are interested in any of these games, they've got a hefty list, really. So Mining Mechs is coming out on September 4th, so that's already out. Coming tomorrow, September 11th, is Kiki, a vibrant 3D platformer. The 13th has Mo Waifu H Genius, which is, fun fact, Steve's Game of the Year. A Night on the Farm is coming on September 18th. And then we have Zombie Farm, or Zom Farm, on September 25th. Going into October, there's Damikira on the 2nd. The physical for Thunder Ray, which comes from PlayAsia.com, is coming October 3rd. On the 9th is Rogue Sentry. The 11th is Learn to Play Volume 7 Safe Journey, but that's not coming to Switch, but maybe, who knows. We've got the Seed Unit 7 coming October 18th. Super XYX, which is a shmup, coming October 23rd. Mo Waifu H, Block Blast, that's Steve's runner-up for Game of the Year, October 25th. And Skaters Solace coming October 30th. So there's a ton of games coming from Eastasiasoft coming to the Switch. So if any of these catch your attention, make sure to mark your calendars.
In case you are interested in getting some pre-order bonuses, you can also mark your calendar, because you can start reserving Super Mario Party Jamboree, which will be launching just next month already. So you can get a tote bag, you can get a party tin, you can get like a dice block keychain from like some select realtors like Best Buy and probably other ones like GameStop and others too. So be sure to check that out if you want some extra free pre-order goodies.
All right, everybody sing it with me. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? That's right. Great game from our childhoods that I played a lot on the Apple IIe. And Carmen Sandiego was shocked to see this announcement trailer from Nintendo this week that it's coming back. So sometime in early 2025, this time you play as Carmen Sandiego as she tracks down thieves around the world. So it's kind of looks like this investigation third-party platformer kind of game. But I think
third person.
I meant third person. What did I say? Third party. Well, it is third party, but that's not what I meant. Uh, third person from I believe Gameloft is actually putting this one out. So it's I think I'd rather go back and actually play the original, but kind of cool that Carmen Sandiego is coming back. So if you are nostalgic like us, then maybe you'll enjoy this, or maybe it will kill your nostalgia altogether, and it's better just to avoid this one and then go back and play the original. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? But it's coming out early 2025. So, Greg, any thoughts about any of these stories?
Yeah, I mean, it's always great to see a big list of upcoming games. So it's great that Barry dove through the list. I'll have to be seeing which ones that I was interested in picking up over the next few months here. Obviously, Super Mario Party Jamboree is on my list, and I'm kind of tempted to get like a physical copy of it as opposed to the digital, because at least I still have my other digital coupon that I can use for brothership. So might be a little bit easier just to get the physical version and get the extra goodies that come along with it. So great to see those as well. And then, yeah, I'm kind of with you, Steve, with Carmen Sandiego. I was more used to more tracking her down, and it's kind of interesting to have like a game from like her perspective. I guess in a sense, it's kind of like the Bowser's Inside Story, and you're like actually get to be Bowser for a change. But they actually did that really beautifully in that game. But I don't know how well it's going to translate for this kind of game here. But yeah, I mean, if the gameplay is still pretty top notch, I might still be checking it out. But I don't know if it might just be the nostalgia want me to pick it up, just like all the Turtles games we've gotten over the last few years too.
That's true. We got Turtles, Oregon Trail, and now Carmen Sandiego. I feel like our childhood is coming back, but not exactly how we thought it was. Going to the chat real quick. Jesse Glenn is joining us and just completed Candleman last night, and would certainly recommend. Somewhat cozy, but very fun. And Jakester's like, what? Who? Carmen who? Jakester, let's remind you, we're old and you're not. So you should definitely go back and watch some gameplay, but then go ahead and watch the TV show of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego as well. So you can get Rockapella joining us for Where in the World song as well.
I know they had like a small intro note here, but they did have like a cast reunion thing for like the Rockapella and like the announcers for the show, that game show that we had in the 90s. And that was really cool to learn a lot more about the, like even like all the history and stuff like that, and like how they were doing it. And sometimes just put right on the spot just to like make like a song and stuff too. But
that's true.
They even close out like their Zoom call by actually like doing like the song again. So it's like, hit it, Rockapella. It's like,
nice.
Bob.
That's awesome. Barry, what stood out to you?
You gotta be specific too when you say the TV show, because
that's true.
there's the game
original
show. There was also the original animated, and then this one is apparently based on like the 2021 or whatever Netflix animated that I never watched and actually didn't know existed until this. I was like, wait, they did a new animated?
That's true. With that reminder, I did remember. This is not the first time Carmen Sandiego has been the protagonist of it. Was that animated one where she came back?
Well, the
and
other animated one, she
okay, I guess so. Anyway, this has been done before, but this is the first time in a game where I guess she is. But yeah, I was talking about the original, the OG, really the only one that matters.
The game show, yes. The actual kids game,
the trivia,
with
geography trivia, yeah.
But yeah, no, I saw that show for Carmen Sandiego, and I showed my wife, and I was like, this is out of left field. What year is this? It actually like the glider sections impressed me. Like, is this open world? Like, how open is this? And at the same time, that could be a pain if it's like, if there's no markers, and like you need to find this particular painting in this one museum. You have to get to the museum and then find. I just rather click some buttons.
Yeah.
But now Carmen Sandiego is definitely 80s, early 90s icon, and there's so many games, and it was always fun when you got if you got the NES version. I played on the IBM PC and the Apple II at school, but the NES version was like huge, as was the PC, because it had like this big book that you needed to play. It was like all the information and knowledge you would need is in there. So I don't think they. I would love to see the physical of this come with one of those again. That'd be a hell of a price tag. But no, I'm excited to see just some old stuff come back. I'm happy that there's pre-order bonuses for physical. I like to see it. I wish it told you what was what, because I have it pre-ordered at Best Buy, and I don't know which of those three I'm gonna get. I'm gonna get one of them, I assume. But I just don't know. And it's always happy to see more stuff from Eastasiasoft and just more games in general coming out. And that's a lot of games for the Switch for between September and October only. So they're really pumping them out. So and we've done a lot of game chats with their stuff, and they've got some really good games. So we're very thankful for them and happy to give them some attention. And if any of those, like I said, catch your attention, definitely give him some love and let Steve know how much you agree with him on the waifu games.
And how much he's missing out on those waifu games.
Yeah, let me know those $4.99 waifu games. I guarantee I'm missing out on so much amazing gameplay there. Yeah, I bet. We love you, Eastasiasoft, but keep popping out the other things in your library.
Can't knock it until you try it. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah, they are not telling the truth. Whoever says that. I can knock a lot of things before I try them.
Well, it's like judging a book by its cover. That's usually that commonplace saying.
It's true, except for I have seen some of the inside of the book as well, so it's not just the cover. So, but no thanks. But if you enjoy it, by all means, enjoy it. Just not for me. Let's move on to our main discussion of this episode. And honestly, we have 2 or 3-ish stories here. They all really kind of run together. So we've gotten a lot of different rumors on the Switch 2 here, probably really over the last several months. And if you look through just online, you're going to see all these different images of what people are guessing what the next Switch is going to look like. And then if you hop over to even do a quick a Google News search, you're going to see all these different rumors about, is it going to come? When's it going to come out? What's it going to involve? What's it going to look like? All these different things. And essentially they keep popping up over and over and over again. But here's the deal. Recently we've heard that the leakers and stuff have said, or people that call themselves a leaker, saying that it's coming out later this month. What? But we've already been told that it's not coming. They're not even going to announce it until probably the end of this fiscal year. But okay, I guess possibly it's going to maybe come out at the end of this month. And then the biggest rumor that I've heard here recently, other than the release date, is tons and tons of talk around backwards compatibility. And everybody's basically saying that it's going to be backward compatible, which I don't think we're really shocked to hear at all. In fact, probably all 3 of us are well, thank you, Nintendo, for doing the obvious thing that all of us want, that makes the most sense for you and for us, the gamer. But okay, cool. But I feel like everywhere I turn, people are talking about the release date and then the backward compatibility that has apparently been leaked. So that's going on. And then we've also had recent announcements from yesterday from Apple, and then today's announcements from Sony as well. So let me just go through that real quick, and then we can have a big discussion over all of this and what it kind of means all together. So Apple had their big iPhone event yesterday, and they talked about their AirPods and Apple Watch and all that stuff too. But the Apple iPhone 16 Pro is really, they're positioning this as a gaming device. It's all these upscaling and ray tracing language was within this advertisement for the phone that they talked about it a ton. 4K video that you can shoot in 120 FPS and all this other stuff too. But this A18 chip that they're throwing in this is making this kind of a mobile gaming device in addition to everything else that the iPhone 16 Pro is. So taking that into account, so Apple seems to be pushing hard within the gaming world. They even announced, I can't remember which game they announced, but it was a big one that they announced. It looked fantastic as well. Barry, do you remember what it was at all?
Was Assassin's Creed Shadow? Was that the one
I
that was shown
don't. I
off?
think
Or
that was prior to that. I forget it. I'll look it up. But anyway, it looked amazing. Looked phenomenal, as a matter of fact. And then they even showed it with one of those backbone controllers on both sides of the phone, and just like that clamped on the phone. I'm like, okay, they're stepping hard into making this a Switch competitor or a Steam Deck competitor. So that's going on. Apple's pushing hard for that. And then we got the PlayStation 5 Pro announcement just this morning. And Sony is putting out this. It's probably on here. I think, is it $700 or $800? I want to make sure I get this correct.
$700 for digital only in the US. It's an additional $80 to get the disc add-on, which requires an internet connection for the first time to set up, and an additional $30 if you want the vertical stand.
There we go.
Before tax. That's all before tax.
All before tax. But you get an upgraded GPU. And so apparently it's 28 times faster than the current, 67% faster than the current PS5, and 28% faster memory, and then 45% faster rendering on gameplay. You have advanced ray tracing, again, announced about ray tracing over in the Apple event, and now Sony's talking about faster ray tracing in the PlayStation 5 Pro as well. And then you have all the AI-driven upscaling, which is interesting. So now AI is in everything, but it's also now coming into upscaling your games, and so to make them super resolution, all this stuff involving AI. So all of that to say, we've gotten a lot of information about what the rest of the video game world seems to be doing right now. And then we got rumors of this Switch successor. So how is all this going to interact? Where we think Nintendo is actually going to go? How is this going to impact anything? Barry, what was on your mind as you're watching these things happen and you're wondering, how is this going to impact Nintendo?
Honestly, and I've been a stark supporter of this on this podcast and on social media and stuff. And I feel from a commercial business point of view, it would be smart for Nintendo to wait until January to announce and show off details on the Switch 2, simply because the Switch is selling like crazy and you don't want to cannibalize these holiday sales. That being said, looking at the gaming industry in the past, we have the very famous from Sony itself, the whole 299 when there was a Saturn versus the PlayStation, and that was their E3 presentation. Just came up 299, walked away because the Saturn was $100 more, and that made a big deal. And then you have Sony's own thing against Microsoft with here's how to share a game. When Xbox was going to do the DRM, we've seen this very much where one company will instantly take a jab at another one reactively, because that video from Sony and that speech from Sony during E3, those weren't planned. They had a speech written out. They wrote it off and said we were beating them on the price. That's all we need to say. And with they filmed that video in response to Microsoft, and obviously Microsoft backpedaled on the DRM. After this announcement, I don't know if you've looked at gaming Twitter or gaming sites, the universal feelings towards the PS5 Pro is it's not worth it. Sony's dumb as hell. We don't know what they're thinking. At this point, a lot of people just might as well get a PC. The main reason people get consoles over PC is for the physical media, and now we have to pay an additional $80 on top of that. It's ridiculous, and it's so negative that people are at this point like, hey, could we like all together and not purchase this thing so that it fails spectacularly, and make them at least drop the price, because at $500 it would be a great deal, but at $700+ it's not, especially if you already own a PS5. So I kind of want to see Nintendo just be like, Switch 2 $4.99 or $3.99, and just walk away. Like that's we'll more announcement next year or just something like that, just to see them fire back. I think that would be
Mm-hmm.
hilarious, and I think it would give them like so much positivity in the gaming scene,
Yeah.
because the general populace doesn't care. Grandma, grandpa, like they're not paying attention. But to the gamers, they would notice that. And that
Yeah.
would be ruthless. And that would be amazing. And I want to see them get Reggie back for that and just have Reggie just come make an announcement. Just be like $3.99 and walk out. Like that's it. Like thanks, Reggie. You're here to kick ass and play games. Um it's a scary time for the industry.
Yeah.
It's scary time for physical gamers, because this is, an extra $80 on top of already $700 just to play physical games and movies and stuff. And again, there's DRM locked to that. So if the servers are down, or when the servers eventually go down, or you buy a PS5 Pro used and it doesn't have a disk drive, you can't buy one of the disk drives and add it into the system after the fact.
Right.
It needs that at least initial connection. That is terrible. That locks it. That turns everything into a coaster if it needs a connection to a service that no longer exists.
Yeah.
And with Apple, I plan to get the 16 Pro. I do not game a lot on the PC on the phone at all. The stuff I do doesn't need it, but I upgrade my phone every 5 to 6 years. I'm still on a 10x Max. I got a 6-year-old phone,
Man, you're gonna have a
right?
big upgrade there.
Like here, like no lie, it is a 10x
Yeah.
Max. It is, it is. You can see the camera, like that's the big identifier. Like it is an old phone. So I go big, and then I let it sit for years. So that's why I would do it. So I'll probably wind up getting that for like Christmas or birthday or whatever this year. And I, will I play the latest AAA games on it? No, I don't even have a backbone controller. But it might be fun to toy around with some things. But
Yeah.
I use it more for social media and all that stuff. But it's nice to have speeds. And my main thing is the battery life. Like the battery, like Apple kills battery life on systems. My battery's running at 75% max capacity, and I have to charge it 2 to 3 times a day, just to even be. It's bad. So like
Mm.
that's my main big draw. But it's nice to upgrade every once in a while. But I do think Nintendo is looking internally at the Steam Deck, of course. They have to look at the Steam Deck. They have to look at other Steam Deck like devices, and they have. I mean, the whole mobile when the iPhone started gaming, that is that going to overtake the DS and the 3DS and all that stuff. And I'm sure they've been watching what Apple's been doing. I have to
Mhm.
imagine they know Apple and Android, and those are technically competitive devices, whether they want to or not. Um, and if Apple's going big and hard with this, granted, the price difference that's the biggest thing. You know, an iPhone 16 Pro is $1,000. The Switch isn't going to be $1,000, so it won't compete with it in terms of graphics. But Nintendo needs to squeeze out every ounce of anything they can, even if it comes to where they break even, to make it
Yeah.
as competitive as they can at
Yeah.
a competitive price.
Yeah. I think it's interesting to like I remember going to events and stuff and Greg, I mean when we went to E3 years ago, we saw 3DSs and everywhere. And or maybe that was it was 3DS, not it wasn't DS at that time, but 3DSs and like the spot pass and all these different things were happening all over the place. And I think it was fun. I don't know if that's a big thing for Nintendo, but when I go to events now, I just see a bunch of mobile phones that are out. So they're not competing directly, but the mobile phones are definitely gaming devices. They're just not primarily there. One thing I wanted to say, just like before I'll let you talk, Greg, but just the price alone is so shocking to me. I have two devices here that are pretty much occupying all of my video gaming now. It is now my Asus ROG Ally that I bought that now I can do PC gaming, and my Switch. And that together cost less than a PS5 Pro. And I'm okay with that. And that's all I need. And I can do physical media on my Switch. And if I wanted to, I could potentially do, I think I can hook up a disk drive to my Ally if I want to and do it. I haven't, because I've just gotten all digital games from Steam and stuff. But that's possible. And with the PS5, like, to buy an $80 like Blu-ray player, like I can go get a Blu-ray player for cheaper than $80. Like, why is it like, it's just ridiculous. This is like the very first like PS3 all over again. Like,
Yes.
you get this crazy price. Like, who's going to actually want this? Like, when you don't need it. Like,
I
and
think
you're
a lot
gonna
of people
spend that much
forget
money.
the
Go
PS3
go
was
get
$600.
an actual PC that can do that and so much more. But anyway, go ahead, Greg. What's your thoughts on this? We've been kind of occupying the time.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much do agree with you guys. I believe that PS5 Pro seems to be almost like dead on arrival type situation, because it's just selling the disk drive separately. I mean, I obviously see what they're trying to do. I mean, I know they went after Microsoft back in the day when like the Xbox One was supposedly not supposed to have a disk drive, and now here they are just sell. Oh, you want the disk drive? Now we're going to charge extra for it. So it's not like they're like getting rid of it completely, but they're just passing the buck to the consumer to pick it up. And then obviously, as Barry said, it requires the internet connection. So as soon as that server goes down in whatever 10, 20, 30 years or whatever it is, then it's like you got a nice fancy coaster they could use.
Well,
Right.
you're still usable. It's just a new one you wouldn't be able to reconnect. So
Well,
if
yeah,
you connect it to the internet once, it's still usable forever. But it needs that
but I
initial
mean,
connection.
yeah, I mean that's at least what we know from now. But I mean, they might be able to issue like software updates to it and all that other kind of stuff. We don't really know until it's actually been properly looked at. I mean, if it requires internet connection, it might need to like still hit servers to process the games that are being put into it to make sure that the games are legit copies and not pirated copies. So I'm
Who
sure that's
knows?
going to
Yeah.
have to. There's going to be other stuff in there that ties into it to see if it's like still like has to have like an internet connection to determine some of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm interested too in this. I didn't watch the whole
Oh,
event.
you didn't?
So no, because I saw the big stuff and I was like, I don't really care. But did they talk more about what is driving the AI upscaling? Because that could be one of
Yeah.
those things that has to use the servers. And if you can't use those servers, then if they shut those down or whatever over time, that could be something you lose access to over time, Greg.
I think it's native. I don't think
Okay.
it connects to a server for the AI. I think it's built in. But they did show a lot with the presentation, and they did a lot of side by side comparisons. And I saw somebody say like, "Oh well, if the reason we upgrade, why otherwise we would play, why not still play our PS1s?" Which a lot of people do still play our PS1s, and PS1 is fine. But if you compare a PS1 game to a PS5 game, like no choice. Like obviously the PS5 one looks better, but the comparison they did, and it's interesting if you watch this video, they do PS5 to PS5 Pro, because the main thing is a lot of the games, and I'm sure you've dealt with this with Xbox, have either a performance mode or they have a fidelity mode. So you either get better graphics, like the highest graphics at 30 frames a second, or less graphics at 60 frames a second. And what they're trying to do is eliminate that and make it so it's the best graphics at 60 frames a second, which is admirable and should be a goal. But then they showed them compared to each other, and maybe it was YouTube, but I was like, I don't see a difference here. I don't see $700 worth of difference here. I do play on performance mode, and I'm fine. But I personally don't see a difference between 30 and 60 frames a second.
Mm,
I am able to just enjoy a game. I do not see that
yeah.
unless it really stutters and goes below 30. I don't notice a difference.
Yeah. Well, it all
So
depends.
it's
I think the 30 to 60 depends on what kind of game you're playing. Like in a shooter game, it matters a lot. and also your lag and input lag and stuff like that also play a big aspect into that. But I've seen, on PC, like you can turn on these different modes depending on what graphics card you have and all that stuff, and you can enhance the, or fake kind of stuff, and it's doing similar kind of stuff. And I guess they're just trying to get that over on a console game as well. But yeah, even on a PC, now that I have that to play around with, I'm like, it's not really that big of a deal. I'd rather not run my my rogue ally into the ground, and I'll just drop it off, and I'm okay with what you get naturally.
While we're talking, try and bring up that video and bring up the side-by-side comparisons, and see if maybe I'm different. But it's interesting when you look at this, and we were talking a little in the chat. I feel kind of bad because Sony was banking on this. This is part of the 30th anniversary, and they have just had a knock with Concord, where they spend 8 years developing a game, and it shut down within 2 weeks. Like, that is terrible. That's 8 years wasted. Take $250 million, I think it was, wasted. And then the Astrobot was a positive. It's a great game. I can attest to it. And then they do this announcement, and they were probably like, "This is our big announcement. We're ready for the stream and people being happy." And no, there you go. Tell me you see a difference between left and right. I mean, see if see. Maybe I'm weird, but I'm curious what you guys think.
It looks slightly better, but the PS5 doesn't have horrible graphics, so I'm okay with what it currently looks like. Yeah. I mean, it's a slight enhancement, but it's not worth $700.
It's so minor.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're the same image.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're gonna be looking to like upgrade your PS5 and like be trading it in, like there's really not a need to actually get it. And I'm sure it's more targeting people that don't have one, but that's also a pretty steep price of entry just to even get one to begin with, because then you also have to buy all the games on top of it.
What's really funny is that they actually they played this because they thought we would notice and go, "Oh man, I do want to pay another $800 to get this phenomenal graphics that they're putting out here." Like they actually thought this would like knock our socks off.
That's the thing. Exactly. You can't tell. Like, it's so minor. And for the few people that are like, "Oh, I can totally see a difference," and I'm sure there are some people that can, you have to ask yourself, is it worth $700? Even if you trade in your PS5,
Yeah.
Let's say you get $200 for your PS5. You have to go through the hassle. Is it worth $500 plus another 80 to get the physical, and 30 if you want to put your console vertical? That you have to ask yourself, is it worth it to you? It's not worth it to a lot of people based on the reactions on the internet.
No.
Another factor which a lot of people aren't talking about is memory. This actually has a 2 terabyte hard drive. The base PS5 has a 1 terabyte. And I can tell you, and it's the same with the Xbox, these games take up a lot of room. And even when you own the discs have to install. The data's on the disc for the most part. It still has to install. And I'm constantly deleting games from my terabyte hard drive. And I only have, maybe 10 games on there. And a lot of them are like, "Oh, you need 68 gig." And I'm like, "Oh, that's insane. Like, it's, how much I need." And you go to the Switch, the games are significantly smaller. If you have the physical, it plays off the card. So if there's no update, it takes up 0 space on your SD card. There's a huge reason to buy physical there. And I'm deleting stuff on my Switch too. I've filled up a 512, but I've got like like 1,000 games or something like that are on it. Like, you could fit so many. A lot of the games like 200 megabytes or 150 megabytes. Even the digital ones, it's no big deal. And then of course with the physical, you take up 0 room other than save data, like, which is nothing. So to put that amount of money, and that's with a 2 terabytes. So a lot of people upgrade their PlayStations and Xboxes to have a bigger hard drive. So if you want to upgrade your hard drive, more money. Yeah, more money.
Totally. Yeah, let's go to the chat real quick. There's been a lot of conversation going on around this. Surprising, not anybody. But let's see. So Jakester said this in Discord, but he's glad he doesn't have, never had an interest in the PS5 now that Sony's pushing their games on Steam. Less and less of a reason, which is also another thing. Like, what's the point of getting this? Put this money toward a nice, or even like a semi-nice, a Steam Deck competitor. I paid a whole lot less than $800 for this Asus, portable PC, and I can do pretty much everything I want to on it. So why put this money into it, especially if a lot of their games are going to PC? I totally get that, Jakester. Zev Zero says feels bad for Sony, the announcement. He was so excited for the Pro, but totally let down by this. Been playing mostly on the Switch and Series X, and might just stay here until the Switch 2. Haven't been playing PS5 since his daughter's been using it, so he needed another PS5 too. But yeah, not playing it a whole lot. Looks like Zep Zero also said the other issue is that you have to make sure that you have the right kind of TV right now as well, because not all the TVs are going to show all these enhancements that the PS5 Pro has. So you have to have a Sony, HDMI 2.0 for to even get a lot of the visual enhancements and everything. So you may have, a quote unquote normal TV where you won't even be able to see what the PS5 Pro is actually doing. So you got to go out and buy a really nice TV on top of this incredibly expensive PS5 Pro and the optical disc drive and the vertical stand, and all of a sudden, before you know it, you're in like $2,500, $3,000 to play these games. When what could you have done if you sunk all that into a really, really, really nice gaming PC? Probably had something just as good or far greater. Let's see. Popcorn Minute did say young people with young eyes can definitely see the difference. Maybe so. Perhaps you could actually see the difference if you do have younger eyes. But I think, like you said, Barry, most of the comments that I'm seeing online are people like, no, this is not worth it. Even if it is better, it's not worth this sort of thing. Roth is excited that I got an Asus ROG Ally. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. Greg, what do you think this is going to open the door? Is this going to open any sort of door at all for Nintendo? Or are they going to be like, ignore Sony, come back to us, we actually know what we're doing? Or all of a sudden is Nintendo going to be like, oh, the price is going up and they're dropping all this other stuff, maybe we can slide in there with a $700 machine as well? Or I don't know.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be that drastic. I mean, I know like a lot of other previous executives have always kind of issued like they really want like the affordability factor. So, I mean, I don't see this like the Switch 2 going like past like $500. That's probably not going to happen at all. But Nintendo's not usually one to like go after other companies either and just be like, oh, look at this, you can have this PS5 Pro and a disc drive and a new TV for $2,000, and then or you have a Nintendo Switch 2 for whatever $399. Like, it's not something, the kind of comparison that they're gonna be throwing up there for like, on their side at least. I think they're almost likely to be more ignoring them because like they've kind of dropped out of the graphics race to begin with. So, I mean, I don't think the Switch 2 is just going to be super powerful, and it's not going to like exceed probably like the current PlayStation 5. So it's probably going to be a lot closer to it, but I don't even think it's going to probably surpass that graphical capabilities unless Nintendo's really heck bent on trying to like make the quality a lot better. But I do know that comes at the unit more expensive, so that's where I don't see that kind of difference being made up there.
Yeah. So
something you said, Greg, just triggered a memory, like a core memory. You talked about how Nintendo doesn't compare and do that. But I kind of miss the Nintendo of old. Do you remember when they would advertise the Super Nintendo versus the Genesis? Like, you can get the Genesis with one game for this, or you can get the Super Nintendo with 5 games with this, because you get Mario World and you can mail away and get Mario All Stars, which is 4 more games. Like, I kind of miss that. I wish they would do
True.
things like that again.
Yeah. I mean, if they weren't trying to play nice and trying to
Yeah.
end this whole console wars thing anymore, they totally should. If they were that same, era, they'd totally jump in here and like, oh, you think that's a lot? Well, let's show you what you can actually do with $800 over here at Nintendo. You could buy this and this and this and this and this and this and this.
My
You buy the
biggest
Nintendo Switch.
fear is that I was gonna say, my biggest fear is that Nintendo's gonna look at this and go, people don't want more power, and let's do another underpowered. And it's not that people don't want power. We want the power. We want the ray tracing. We want the advanced AI. We want all that stuff to make our games better. We just want it at an affordable price, and we're
Right.
not there. What's funny is we're gonna 10 years from now, 20 years from now, will be like, hey, do you remember the PS5 Pro? That pales in comparison to what we all have now. And that's a $100 device can do more than what the PS5 Pro can
Yeah.
do. And they were charging $700+. What?
Yeah.
Because it all changes.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too, like, we are now in this era of, which it almost kind of seems like similar to Nintendo kind of saw the writing on the wall and switched to Nintendo Directs way before anybody else did. And they're like, you know what, let's go to the digital, event stuff instead. And I almost kind of see them going this direction as well. I think when the Switch first came out, we were like, is it going to do anything except for play games? And here we are now, well on our way through 2024. And I have no interest in this thing doing anything but playing games, because I have my phone and I have my smart TV, I have my Apple TV, I have my whatever that does all those other things. I just want a really good console. And especially now, because Nintendo's like set the expectation that I can take on the go and plug it in my TV and it looks good and have a good experience with solid games. I don't care if it plays Netflix, Disney Plus, and gives me a whatever else thing. It would be nice to have the Street Pass and Spot Pass and things like that. It'd be fun to bring back, I think, with the next one. But make it a fun, interactive system. And of course, backward compatible. So that brings me to my question: and like, what do you think Nintendo actually is doing? What rumors have you guys been hearing, especially in light of all these other announcements? What are you thinking? What's stirring in your head? Are the analysts kind of crazy? The ones that are saying it's actually going to come out at the end of September? Because I'm thinking, like, have they not been paying attention? Nintendo said it's not going to come out yet. Why are they saying it's coming out in September? What do you think, Greg?
I mean, first of all, I didn't even hear any analysts saying it was coming out in like September. I only heard that they were like doing like the little teaser thing here in September. So I don't know if that's like an older rumor where they thought it was going to be announced back in like March or something, or where that really came from. I didn't even see that, but I certainly don't see it releasing in like this like by the end of the month or anything like that. Hasn't been a type of strategy they've really done with consoles. They don't like shadow drop new consoles like oh, by the way, tomorrow at like Walmart you can go pick up Nintendo Switch 2. And like,
Yeah,
doesn't really happen that way. But the ones that I've been more following is like just the analysts just saying that they're going to do the little teaser thing like they did with the initial Switch like in October in 2016, and have like their own little teaser thing that might show like what the console looks like and maybe a few games like just playing on it type of thing, and then kind of just like, oh, expect more in whatever January, February, March, whatever their time frame is, just to kind of settle some of the heat on it. But even on previous podcasts, like I still don't see them really doing any of that this year. Like I think like when they were saying like they're not going to reveal it till the next fiscal year, early until the end of the fiscal year, I really don't see it happening in 2024 to begin with. I see all of this just coming down in early 2025.
Yeah. I think like Nintendo's been very clear about that. So yeah, releasing this fall, not going to happen. And I don't think they're going to announce it unless all of a sudden they go back on what they've said, which could happen. that's done it before, but like we've talked about, if they do that, they're going to cannibalize sales for the holiday season, because they still have quite a bit of product. I'm sure they're wanting to pump out this holiday season, and all of a sudden they announce something that could cannibalize and cut their feet out from under them. Barry, I know we've talked about this before as well. Like, what do you think about that? Are they actually going to announce anything this fall?
I mean, I haven't like Greg. I haven't heard anything about it launching. I've seen more people starting to say that there's going to be an announcement in September, and that's why they did the last direct in August instead of September. And I mean, like I said, I can see, I could definitely see them doing it if the Switch was failing, and I could also see them doing it if they want to try and capitalize on the negativity on Sony, put some positivity on Nintendo. That being said, if Nintendo was like, well, the Switch 2 is going to be $600 and they're looking at this, they know for sure they're not going to say a thing because they know they're going to get eaten alive right now. But I can't. We all know the Switch 2 is coming. They've officially acknowledged it in every single video they've put out, whether it be for the museum or Nintendo Direct, have publicly stated we're not going to talk about the Nintendo Switch successor. So we all know it's coming. Do we really, like, if they show it to us, let's say next week, they show it to us next week and we have to wait till April, is that going to do us any favors versus showing it to us in January and still coming out in April? I'd rather know that it's coming, see it in January, then be hyped for 2 to 3 months, and then boom, get it in April. Then know now, go, well, now I've got to sit for the next, half a year anticipating the Switch 2, playing my Switch like, oh man, imagine what this would look like on Switch 2 or whatever. No, just let me enjoy the Switch now. And you want to sell Switches this holiday. How many people are going to be like, Grandma, I want a Switch 2? And grandma's going to go, okay, well, how much is it? Well, $400. Well, I'm going to give you $400 for Christmas, and then you buy the Switch 2 when it comes out, instead of just getting a Switch sale. Getting the Switch sale now, and then you could sell the Switch 2 to that kid, a year or two in the future when he suckers his grandma to get him some whatever for Christmas. It's one of those things where I don't see it being a smart decision.
Yeah.
Just because the Switch is still selling like crazy. And you've got big profile games. You have Mario Party, you got Zelda, you've got Mario and Luigi from Nintendo still coming out this year. You've got Donkey Kong Country in January. And again, that's only the stuff we know about. And that's just Nintendo. You've got some great third-party stuff coming. You've got some wonderful indie games coming. If you cannibalize Switch sales, you're also cannibalizing sales for all those other games. Because if someone would have bought a Switch for the holiday that's getting a Switch for the first time, they might have bought an indie game. They might have been playing it on their Switch. But now they're waiting for a Switch 2. Now they're not playing that game. And will they play it on the Switch 2? Maybe, but there could also be a brand new Mario or Zelda or Metroid Prime 4 or whatever that they're playing instead. So I just don't see it being the smart thing. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, because there's a lot of people who say it is, and maybe there's leakers that know things I don't. I just don't see the benefits of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to see people like counteract like the sales argument is like, you pretty much already have a Switch if like you know anything about it. So it's like they've already pretty much surpassed like the PlayStation 2 and DS, and it's like there's really
hasn't
not
passed the PS2 yet.
That was so close.
Well, I know, yeah, it is really close, but yeah, I'm hoping that it will. But I mean, even like then, you don't even really know if it, like, you stop at chances of it happening by announcing it. Just as you said, like any people that are still haven't been bought a Switch in this day and age for whatever reason, whether they're just more starting to get into console games or whatever, or just waiting for the library to be into a closer to complete state. It's just like it's kind of wreck that chance for that last minute sale or holiday bundle and get that Mario Kart 8 bundle again. That's very hot this season, I hear. So
that's true. Jakester says in the chat, there's too much to lose that they put it out right now. I think I'm thinking he means the announcement, not necessarily the device itself. I think if they announce it, it better come out before holiday, because if not, they are going to cannibalize stuff. And so, like you said, Barry, why not just hold off then and we all know it's happening anyway. So it's not like, oh, look, I've seen it. Cool. Now I've just got to wait longer. Like I already know that it's coming out. So yeah, like don't risk, losing any sales, and just, let's just go on like normal and sell more Switch, and maybe surpass the PS5, become the greatest video game, selling video game system of all time, and then late fiscal year, announce it, bring it out. Cool. We're excited. We'll see where the Switch 2 goes, or Super Switch, or whatever it ends up being called. Why now of all times are we hearing so much about backward compatibility? Like, have we just, like, is this the thing currently? Like, why all of a sudden are leakers talking about backward compatibility? Maybe is it developers that are now getting their hands on it and they're finding that out? Like, why do you guys think that that's the case right now?
I think they're finally listening to the feedback, because I know like a lot of people were pretty upset like when you couldn't get like the Wii U games on the Switch, and that's probably why quite a number of them made it over here as like a remaster or whatever, or like re-release of it. But I would have to think that it's just something along those lines where it's they don't want to do anything with that. Sorry, I was losing my train of thought as I was saying it, but
I mean, it probably depends on where the quote unquote leakers get their information from, and if they're getting it from a developer, because obviously devs have dev kits, like especially the bigger devs have dev kits already. They're going to need games to support the system. Maybe one broke NDA, but it also Nintendo could have said this to developers on the Switch, saying, hey, to the bigger ones, the big AAA, like, hey, you're developing this game for the Switch, but just so you're aware, Switch 2 is backwards compatible. So if you want to put an enhancement, you could do an enhancement just like they did with Sony with the PS5 Pro. They were talking about how all these games are going to get a boost. They're going to get an update to take advantage of the PS5 Pro. Nintendo has most likely had this conversation with the bigger third parties and said, hey, any game you put on the Switch going forward, here's what you can do to make it get enhanced for the Switch 2. And then going forward, any games after the Switch 2 comes out, any Switch game you want to put out can be higher performance on the Switch if you do this update. And that could have leaked. And people are hungry for information, right? There's the hype. We all expected it last year. We all expected it the prior year. We didn't get anything. We all said this year for sure, and then the delay, and then we got radio silence, and then just the confirmation. And we're all hungry. We all want information. And I think that hunger leads to this mentality of world's first. This whole world's first. I want to be the one to break the story. I want my 15 minutes of fame. I want to die, and on my gravestone it says "broke the news about Nintendo Switch 2 backwards compatibility" as my claim to fame. And I think that might be it. I think it just might be, what can I do to get clicks? What can I do to get the conversation going?
That's true.
And Nintendo's sitting by and going, "Thanks for all the free press." Like whatever. We have a damn thing, and you guys are just talking about us. Keep going.
Yeah.
Hell, here we are.
Yep.
But I don't know why a sudden surge. I think it's been pretty well assumed at this point that it would be backwards compatibility, and I think it's all universally understood that if it wasn't, it would be a huge shot in the foot.
Yeah.
I mean, people say, why doesn't the Wii U or the Switch backwards compatible to the Wii U? The Wii U was a completely different format with the disc, completely different architecture with the gamepad, and had a physical library of 200 games or whatever, versus the Switch, which has a physical library of almost 3,000 at this point, and a digital library of got to be close to 10,000 games.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of games to carry over and a lot of gamers to piss off,
Right,
by not having it backwards compatible and saying all these devs, hey, bring it over to the Switch. Now you got to port it. Now you got to recertify it and all that stuff. A lot of indie devs are going to be like, screw you. Like, just make it work and keep them happy so they keep developing games for you. That's the smart thing.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like you said, like I didn't think about that. The current developers, like for Nintendo to be able to tell them, hey, don't worry, your game's not going to get lost to the ether once the new system comes out, like the developers that release games on the Wii U, like at the very last time, or even after the Switch came out, there was a couple, few releases that just were still trickling out, and I was like, oh, I feel so bad for them. But yeah, it's probably nice to know, like, hey, by the way, your game's still going to be at least playable on the next Switch, if not enhanced, like you said as well. Which does lead me to wonder that if backward compatibility is so built in, not like it was from Wii U to Switch and previous consoles, which means that the basic structure of games is probably going to stay essentially the same, and we're going to see an enhancement of the current Switch. It's probably still going to be, dual functioning handheld and console, maybe, and still thinking about single screen experience sort of thing. Probably no huge gimmicks, maybe, or at least nothing that would like hurt the backward compatibility. I don't know.
Potentially yes, but potentially no. And the reason I say that is because I think it was 2 months ago, Nintendo released a charger for Joy-Con charger. It's just a standalone Joy-Con charger out of nowhere. No one said anything out of nowhere. And people are like, why are you releasing this now? Because there are tons of third-party Joy-Con chargers that have existed since 2017. Why are we suddenly, and there's some that are officially licensed? Why is Nintendo doing this now? And some people speculate that the Switch 2 will not have Joy-Cons at all. But for backwards compatibility, say you want to play Super Mario Party or Super Mario Party Jamboree or Nintendo Switch Sports, you can use Joy-Cons with the Switch 2, and this way you can keep them charged because they won't be charged via the system. It was just a thought, because a theory, because why the hell would they release this now out of nowhere and make a big deal about it, and they post about it? So we don't know. The answer is we don't know.
It could be, I mean, as simple as like when they do release the next one, it's going to have different kind of Joy-Con or whatever, and they're going to really push the Switch Lite as the Switch that continues on, and you can't charge those Joy-Con on there, so you need something as well. So I don't know.
One thing we didn't mention too, I just want to briefly mention quickly before Greg, Sony, going back to Sony for a second, they actually quietly raised the price of all their PlayStation 5 controllers by $5. They didn't make an announcement. They just silently raised the price for all controllers by $5, and people are talking about it. People noticed, but like they thought they could sweep this under the rug. On top of the $700+ console, they raised the price on all the.
Like no one's going to notice. They won't. They'll be talking about the $700 console so much they won't care about a $500. That's going to not. That's hilarious.
So I wonder, like controllers are already expensive. Even the Joy-Cons are $80 for a set of Joy-Cons. But is this going to be a new norm? Is Nintendo going to look at that price increase and go, we could do the same with our controller? Like, who knows? But
it's interesting.
It's everything right now. I don't know what's going on.
Charge an extra $5 for even extra more drift.
That's true.
That there was they showed a thing on Nintendo on the Super Mario Party Jamboree. They made it, one of the boards has Joy-Con islands, and I saw someone actually say this islands were clearly created by Continental Drift, and I thought that was just perfect.
That's great.
And right on Nintendo's, right on Nintendo's like main thing. You gotta have fun with it.
Greg, what do you think about the Switch Successor?
It's really kind of interesting what they're doing, what they might do with the Joy-Cons, because like even like the Wii remotes kind of transferred over pretty thoroughly to the Wii U, and those were extra controllers to be used. They could easily redesign the Joy-Con so it doesn't have like the aforementioned drift problems, and fix a number of other things, like actually have a proper D-pad and some other things like that. But I would almost want to assume that they're going to try to reuse some of the Joy-Cons that have already purchased them for the Switch, and especially if there is the backwards compatibility, we'll need those to work with it. Like you don't necessarily need to charge on the console like you do for others for like the actual Joy-Cons, but and that could be a reason behind the adapter itself. But it also could work with the new Joy-Cons even though we have no idea what those could even look like or even be too. We don't even know that.
Yeah. Well, one thing is for sure, we know it is going to come out at some point, and we know that people are still going to be causing a scene about the PS5 Pro. So, jump online and have some fun with that, and hope you all enjoy. We're going to enjoy our new iPhones and eventually enjoy the Super Switch 2U. So it's all going to be here eventually, and we'll be talking about it here on the podcast. But before we move on to wrapping up this episode, of course, we need
I have a
to.
quick thing. I just
Oh,
want
go
to
ahead.
interject.
Yes.
I just saw a poll by IGN.
Yeah.
They asked their readers, "Will you buy a PS5 Pro?" 48,415 votes said no. 80 total. 85.7% of them said no. 14.3% said yes. Of almost 50,000 people. So it's not the grand scheme of things, but it definitely seems like the numbers are showing Sony
It's a
really
pretty big
goofed.
sample.
I thought,
Yeah.
big sample. I figured that would be a fun little tidbit. I just thought.
Wow. Yeah. What's the point? Save your money, buy a Switch Successor, get yourself a nice gaming PC, call it a day.
That's kind of was going bad. I know Jixer was going after me in the comments before, oh, why would you even buy this if you didn't have the PlayStation 5? And I almost think I think back to the 3DS and the new 3DS that was released afterwards. I know the price difference is nowhere near equivalent in this case, but I would think if you're having two consoles that play pretty much the same selection of games, and if one has more power, then that's probably the one that you'd want to go with. But I know
Totally.
with this case, the price is a lot more extreme, so not everybody can easily just drop that kind of money. So I do get that part of it. But if you didn't have a PlayStation 5, this could be the reason why you'd want to get one over this one. I definitely don't see it makes any sense to upgrade because that's a huge ask of that with the cost difference. But
Yeah.
that was kind of the point I was trying to make with that before.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with you, Greg. Yep, for sure. Well, let's move on to what games are coming out over the next couple weeks. And there's a decent amount of games that are going to be dropping, and we're going to be scrolling those as we normally do on the screen if you're watching the video version. But if you're not, we'll talk about some of the ones that are highlighting, and then also some of the games that from this list or others that we're hoping to play over the next couple weeks. Our next episode would be recorded on September 24th. So again, these are games that are going to be coming out over the next couple weeks until September 24th, and including that. So a couple of those games, Crossy Road is going to be coming out tomorrow, Crossy Road Castle. But then also a game that came out today that we're going to be doing a game chat on. It's called Elsie. That again came out. I'm pretty sure it came out today. If it's not, it's really, really soon. Almost certain that it came out today. And then also September 12th, we're getting Celestia, Chain of Fate, and also Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics. On September 17th, we're getting Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, Mask of Darkness DLC, and also The Plucky Squire. And then September 20th, I thought this was just interesting. We're going to have to highlight this, the Karate Kid game called Street Rumble. And then on September 24th, the day of their next recording, we're getting Mortal Kombat 1 Chaos Reigns and also Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed. So of these games or any others, what are you hoping to play over the next couple weeks, Barry?
Yeah, so for me, obviously I want to finish up Astrobot. That's my main goal. And since the next big game is Zelda, which comes just outside of this 2-week period, I plan to use this time period to play a lot of the games we have to do game chats on. We've got some more in works, and I definitely plan to use that time to enjoy those games on top of like Elsie, for example, which we'll be doing a game chat on. And I also potentially catch up on some anime that my son's sleeping. Take a little break from games. I like this biz, and go ahead and just see if I do catch up on that. We'll see what happens. All that could go out the window, and something else falls in my lap and be like, oh yeah, I just suddenly want to play this game now. I don't know.
Nice. Greg, what are you hoping to play over the next couple of weeks?
It'll probably be pretty much just hitting more of the backlog set of games. Like Barry said, we have a number of game chat games that need to go on, and then there's a few other games that I purchased on the side that I'd like to get into. There's a game called Shadow Blade that I had bought that was only like $2 when it came out that I haven't had a chance to start yet. And then I do want to get Epic Mickey, even though it's a game they've previously played on Wii, but I probably won't even get that much time with it before the next podcast because it's like literally like right at that cusp there. So, and then just a few days later it'll be Zelda, which we'll probably even have even more focus on. So
nice,
pretty much it.
Yeah, and your dogs are wanting to get into the podcast as well. So,
yep.
Roth says he's gonna be excited about Rugrats Adventures in Gameland that also came out today. So yeah, you can get your hands on that as well. Jakester says he's gonna be finishing Super Paper Mario and get back to Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, and then start a game that he got called Ultra Kaiju Monster Rancher. That's hilarious. I have not heard of that game, but
really?
I'm interested to hear what you think, Jakester. Also, and then going through Lego Star Wars 1, Pikmin Bloom, and Pokemon Sleep as well.
Did you ever play the original Monster Ranchers games?
No. No.
Really?
No, never heard of them.
Oh my god,
they were
like,
yeah.
You never heard of Monster Rancher?
Mm.
It was Namco, I believe, put it out. They even did a TV show. It was like Pokemon, but
It sounds like Pokemon.
instead of catching the Pokemon, what you actually had to do is you got them from CDs. So you would go to the shrine and you would open up your disc drive on the PlayStation and pull out the disc and go get like your CD collection, your parents' CD collection, didn't matter, and put a CD in, and it would read it and it would give you, based on the code on the disc, would give you different monsters. And there was like lists of people, certain monsters run certain CDs, and how to get the best monsters, and then you would
Wow.
raise them, you would train them, and you would do tournaments. And it wasn't an online thing, at least the original. It was more like trying to beat the CPU, and then until the monster retires and you have to get another one. It was a big thing, and
Wow.
it was a lot of fun. So this one's all like official kaiju stuff,
Hmm.
that you
I
can get.
missed
Oh
out on
man, the
so
original
much of
Monster
just
Ranchers
being
are
a
great.
Nintendo gamer and ignoring the PlayStation. Man,
Oh, so good.
we got a PS1 really late in the game because I think our very first PS1 was the Slim, like the really small Slim, the little tiny one. And then same thing
Yeah.
with the PS2, got one way late in the game, the little slim one. PS3 I got really late in the game as well. PS4 I actually got like a couple years into it, but I was always way behind and only playing like the highlights of each of those consoles. So yeah.
You can actually play Monster Rancher 1 and 2 DX on the Switch. But obviously you can't put CDs, so I think it might be like RNG. It says one of the most unique features of the original game, which allowed players to acquire monsters by importing CDs, has been replaced with a new music database that can be used to generate monsters by searching CD titles. So they give you a database and you can pick what CD. But yeah, it's on the Switch, which is interesting.
Nice.
The first two games.
Huh. That's fun. Yeah, Roth apparently knows all about it as well. So, yeah, I learned something new. But I won't be playing it, but that's cool. Like I like the original idea rather than this whole like searching through a database. That sounds dumb.
Well, yeah, because the Switch you can't insert CDs into the Switch.
Which is kind of weird that they brought it to the Switch actually, but anyway. So that's cool. I'm with you guys trying to play some LC and some other games that we've got game chats on as well. That'd be what I mostly do. You can't use Amiibo would have been a good thing, Jakester. That would have been really good to bring in there. I don't know how they would do that with an old game that has nothing to do with Nintendo, but that would have been fun though. But I think as well, definitely going to check out the DLC for Prince of Persia, and still on the fence about Epic Mickey. I don't know, like the idea, still need to try out the demo. That's probably what I'll do before the next episode is I'll try out the demo. Jakester said, and I think in our last podcast, he enjoyed the demo. So I'll check that out. Probably not the full game, but I'll check out the demo before. But that brings us to the end of this episode, and getting closer and closer to episode 300, our 15th year anniversary. Guys, what do you think about that we're almost going to be 15 years? I noticed the other day that we have also crossed a milestone not too long ago that we didn't acknowledge because it's kind of sad. But we have already, like, I've been here for almost all the episodes. Barry, Greg, you guys are very much past the over half by a lot now. And we have also passed a milestone of we have been doing this without Hassan longer than he was a part of it, which is kind of weird.
Wow. Yeah, I was actually thinking about that because he stopped in 2018, and I was like, oh my God, outside the few guest appearances, it's been the three of us for like 6 years now straight.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. I saw that the other day. I was like, wait a second. Oh my gosh. This is the majority of the podcast now does not have Hassan anymore, which is strange to think about.
Barry,
just in time to bring him back. Man. Yeah, just in time to let him out, Barry, so he can jump in with us again.
Yeah, he was just in New York and he didn't even come say hi. So I'll let him out whenever he wants to. He just has to let me know.
Yeah.
He hasn't banged on the door to be let out for a while. I haven't put food there for a while, so
he's just enjoying it.
I don't know. It's been a while, so who knows what's find when I
Is he still alive?
No. I don't know.
Yeah, well, apparently he's free. He's free in New York. He just said so. He's escaped.
He's Schrodinger's Hassan. Okay, if I don't open the door, he's both alive and dead at the same time.
I will say one thing. We've not fully decided, what all we're going to do for episode 300 to celebrate that and our 15th anniversary. But I will say this: if you are listening to the podcast or watching the podcast, please send in some sort of, like, you can write it out, your thoughts about what the podcast has meant to you, or some cool memory that you have, or whatever. Or even better, like, send us a video. That'd be really cool. We can play that on episode 300 as well. So just soliciting some of you, our community, to play a part in episode 300. We'll have some other things that we'll get to planning really soon and make it really exciting and a fun episode for sure. But one of the things we did this for our 10th anniversary, which is really, really fun to have some past voices and faces that were used to be a part of the podcast, but also some of our community. So we'd love, if you don't feel comfortable being on screen, that's fine. You can send us written or even audio. We can play that as well. But if you do want to be on video, send us a video, and keep it relatively under, maybe like a minute and a half or something like that, so it doesn't take up a ton of space.
2 minutes or whatever.
But maybe 2 minutes or less. But we would love to feature as many of you guys as we could in episode 300, because this is we love doing this, but we also love connecting with you guys as well. And so that'd be fun that we can just share in this episode 300 and also our 15th anniversary. So, and especially if any of you guys have been here from the very, very beginning, we want to hear from you. Back when it was me and Hassan and a couple others that were just trying to figure out this whole thing and what are we going to do? And we tried so many different formats for a while. So if you've been here all the way through, we want to hear from you guys as well. So, Greg, anything other than, buying a house? Is that like the biggest thing in your world in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, at least through this first week of before the next podcast, everything will be settled on Friday, and then I'm hoping to be moving over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday. But then hopefully it'll be unpacking and getting everything all set to go. So I am going to have an office space, so my background will be nicely different the next time around, as everything will be more situated, and then who knows, maybe I might have time to assemble that Breath of the Wild Deku Tree Lego set. So I don't know.
Yeah, that came out over the last couple weeks. That's fun. Nice. Barry, anything big happening in your world the next couple weeks?
Just watching my son grow and focusing on that. Outside of gaming and prepping. Already starting to prep the next Premium Direct. So in the preliminary stages of writing that script and already talking to developers, and I feel like I just finished the last one, and I'm like, oh my god, here I go, gotta do it again. So
Is there a proposed
definitely.
date at all? Do we get a sneak peek at
Sometime
what's
in
gonna happen?
October is the
Ooh,
plan.
October exclusive.
Yes, that's exclusive. That's the
Nice.
plan. We'll see how that goes. It's a lot of work that goes into it, so we're gonna shoot to make it happen. And
Cool.
yeah, it's exciting stuff happening. They'll say that. But yeah, we just right now prepping stuff. We got Crater Song going up for pre-order, which is on the NES. That's from Ore Body Inc. That's going up Monday, so just over a week or just under a week now from now. And then we've got Soul Quest Kickstarter goes live. I think a week. I think it's the 17th, so it's a week from today. So we've got a lot of stuff prepping next week already on top of everything else. So yeah, busy time. that's,
Cool.
that's why I don't mind this little lull before Zelda. So I could take care of this other stuff while working on these review games and a lot of filming game chats, getting together and filming game chats. That's what we're gonna
It's
be
true.
doing.
We got a lot of them.
We still have more to come out.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Which means if you have not subscribed to us on YouTube, you definitely should, because we've got several that have come out and we've got more in the docket. I've gotten to the point, like I said earlier, where I've lost track of like what we published and what we haven't, because we're editing and recording and popping them out as fast as we can and trying to space them out as much as we can as well. But
I
yeah.
really look forward to this game of the year because I'm kind of curious to see how many of the games we do game chats for wind up making it in. How many of us pick the same ones or polar opposites?
It's
It'll
true.
be interesting.
Yeah. Or what ends up in our worst of the year as well. So.
Exactly. There could be a worst of the year. I'm not going to say yes or no to that.
Nice. Well, I mentioned
Lawnmower Simulator is probably shoo-in for that one, I'm sure.
Stay tuned to find out.
No spoilers.
If you guys want to submit, like I said, written audio or video, I think there's a way to send in an audio message through our podcast as well. There's a link at the bottom of our show notes, but if you also want to, you can send those in through email. We don't talk about our email that often, but it's podcast@nintendofuse.com. That sends it right to us. And so if you want to contribute to episode 300, we would love to have you do that. Like I said, written audio or video, send that over to podcast@nintendofuse.com. Like I said, we're going to be back on September 24th with our next episode. That's episode 299. And we'll be recording that live at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific time on both YouTube and Twitch. So be sure to jump in the live chat. Join us with all the discussion. You are the collective fourth member of our podcast, and we love having you jump in with all that. But yeah, we hope you guys have a great next couple weeks. And until then, happy gaming, everybody.
Have a good one.
See you next time.